the past 15 days, four cases, one after another, of our Hindu sisters being abducted, sexually assaulted, converted, and married to their offenders have happened in Pakistan. One of them is of Chandra Maharaj. Can you tell us more about the case?
Shreyaji, as unfortunate as the Chanda Mehraj case is, it is deeply saddening to note that, as you said, this is not a one off case. She was the fourth girl from the Hindu minority community of Pakistan who was kidnapped in a span of less than a month. A woman in Pakistan was shot dead in March after she refused to entertain the proposal of a man there. As per media reports, the girl was kidnapped by a man who had repeatedly tried to approach her. After being kidnapped, she was converted to Islam and then sexually and physically abused for a week. Then she was sent to a shelter home in Karachi by the courts, and absolutely no action was taken by the courts against the accused Shaman Baloch. After a video surfaced on the web where the girl was in tears, court ordered a medical investigation and then ordered Chanda to go to a safe house. However, no action was taken against Shaman Baloch at all. So this is the summary of the case that happened, and this is just, as you said, one of the many other cases that happened. And pretty much modus operandi has been the same. Most of the people tell a nice Romeo Juliet tale where the woman coming from a Hindu community gets married to a Pakistani Muslim man, and it's all fine. However, more often than not, that's not even the case. These women are actually taken, converted forcefully without their will, and are raped. This is the sad reality that our Hindu sisters are facing in Pakistan.
And it's a very, very grim reality. And from what we hear, the situation is actually especially grim in the Sindh region of Pakistan. Now, Pakistan's population is distributed across in a manner that only 2% of their population make up Hindus. And most of them, about 90% of them, are settled in the Sindh region. Now, this particular trend of forcefully abducting and sexually assaulting girls is actually much more prevalent in Sindh. But does Sindh have any particular law on the subject of child marriage? That's what we want to know.
Shreya, it's interesting you mentioned Sindh because the law in Sindh is actually different from the rest of Pakistan. So, in Pakistan, the legal age of marriage for men is 18 and for women it is 16. As per UNICEF, marriage before the age of 18 is a fundamental violation of human rights. Pakistan ratified the Convention on the Rights of Child in 1990. However, it was only in 2014 that Sindh adopted the Sindh Child Marriage Restraint Act, which raised the minimum age of marriage from 16 to 18 for women. It is the only Pakistani state to do so. However, in reality, that's not what's happening. Most of the times, child marriages are happening in the region of Sindh, where, as I said previously, women are being kidnapped, forcefully converted, and they are being married. This is despite a regulation and act being there in the state which prohibits child marriage. That is marriage of women below the age of 18.
Absolutely, Aishwarya ji. And in fact, as a lawyer, you would be well aware that passing a law, having a legislation is one thing, and the actual implementation of that law on ground is something very different. It has, in fact, come to be known that a high court in Pakistan, it has gone on to say that men can marry underage girls under the Sharia law after they have experienced their first menstrual cycle, despite the law in Sindh clearly saying that any person under the age of 18 they cannot be married. So what is the point of having such laws? That is one thing that is very, very
I
shocking.
completely agree with you. I think a brilliant point that you mentioned is that law on paper is very different from the law on practice or law on ground. So, as we correctly established, that the law, even if it prohibits child marriage, something that's happening. And also, I would like to point out that the courts in Pakistan have a very anti woman bias, and it's not just limited to majority minority community or majority community. you know it's just the general condition of women there. As a trivia, I would like to mention that the Pakistani evidence law does not treat women and men at par. So, for any financial obligation to be binding, you need two men as two male witnesses, or you need one male witness and two female witnesses. So, as a country, as a state, they are not treating women at par with men as it is. And with their anti women bias, courts in Pakistan are probably much worse off than any other country.
Correct. That's quite shocking. That's not even something I'm sure most of us aren't aware of this. That even women witnesses are not treated at par with male witnesses. In such a scenario, to be accusing Hindus of being patriarchal, or to be accusing India of being patriarchal towards its women, it just seems absolutely absurd, I would say. How has reception been to since introduction of its law to end child marriage? Have the the community, the majority community over there, have they been okay with it? Have they accepted it?
To my mind, again, I wouldn't know how well they have accepted it again on ground, because the media reports that we read, or the news reports that we come across, are really very filtered. So I wouldn't know how on ground the majority is accepting it. But I think because the Shariat law, the Muslim personal law, states something differently. I think even majority would be okay with following whatever their Shariat prescribes. In fact, I think in 2017 they had tried to formulate it into a Pakistan level, like, as in federal law, for increasing the age of marriage, and they deferred it to the Council of Islamic Affairs, the religious head. And I think they were also not too happy with taking an approach where the marriage age would be increased to 18, right? So that was also there. However, they said that nikah could be done before 18, but ruksati would happen only 18. But again, that is yet to come in force. These are all things on paper that I'm talking about.
All right. The next thing that we want to know is that apart from, of course, the legal structure, the judicial structure, what about the media? And does it generally look like there is, extending the same discussion further, does it look like there is any political will to protect Hindus' rights, to protect their minorities' rights?
So, Shreya, let me begin by giving some stats at the outset. So, at the time of independence, I'm sure you're aware, in 1947, the Hindu population comprised about 20% of Pakistan. Now it comprises about 1.5, 1.6% of the total population of Pakistan. Sure, a large chunk of Hindu population was lost when Pakistan got partitioned in 1971. But the reality remains that Hindus in Pakistan are either forcefully converted, or they flee the country, or lately they have even begun to embrace Islam to survive in Pakistan, because as Hindus they are being treated as second class citizens in Pakistan. Now, Pakistanis in and outside of Pakistan often boast about the protection of minorities and the rights that their constitution probably confers on the minorities, but the reality is far from this. So, more often than not, Pakistan uses blasphemy laws as a tool to target its minorities. Very recently, a man in Sindh named Ashok Kumar was attacked by a violent mob in a false blasphemy case. And Pakistan frequently uses blasphemy laws to prosecute its minorities. So, just I'm not happy with someone. I say that, oh, you know what, this person made a statement against a god, and blasphemy case is triggered, right? As per reports, about 580, 590 cases of blasphemy were registered in Pakistan, with majority cases coming from Punjab. And this is what the majority civilians in Pakistan are like towards the minority community. Now, governmental and police authorities are also of very little help to the Hindu minority community. So, when the Chanda Maharaj case happened, or when a very similar case where a Hindu girl named Jamsi Meghwar was abducted by Mustafa Dhokar, who then got her converted and married her, happened, Jamsi's parents tried to lodge a complaint against the perpetrator, which was not entertained by the authorities. A similar case happened in Sindh, where two sisters were abducted by three people from the majority community, and no complaint was lodged in their case as well. Police or the authorities often hardly make any effort to actually investigate the case. And from the media reports, I gather that the authorities only end up making an obligatory visit to the victim's house. Now, regarding political will, as you asked, the previous Prime Minister Imran Khan did express his willingness to help the minorities of Pakistan. He said that he'll be ensuring equality before law, and even termed forceful conversions as un-Islamic in nature. However, in reality, no Pakistani premier is ready to build the cat or actually help the minorities beyond an obligatory lip service. Right? Only last year, his party members tortured and held hostage a Hindu family that fetched drinking water from a mosque. Absolutely nothing was done to help them. Hindu temples are routinely destroyed by the majority community in Pakistan. About 7 temples were destroyed between 2020 and 21 alone. What was done to restore them? Were the vandalizers punished? No, nothing, absolutely nothing. So I would say that regardless of whichever party comes to power in Pakistan, for Hindu minority, everything is the same. Why would anybody want to help the Hindu community, which is a community that is actively demonized and has been demonized not only in their pop culture but also their textbooks. So from a young school going age, kids are taught that Hindus are bad people who treat their women badly, who burn their women and are enemies of mankind. And I'm talking this report that I'm talking about is from a BBC Urdu video. It's not even an Indian media outlet that I'm referring to. So this is how the Hindu community is routinely treated. They are demonized, and there is no way why anybody would want to help a demons of the society. They are outcasts. So nobody would like beyond an obligatory lip service, as I said, nobody wants to help.
I think also, it's interesting you mentioned that, because even in another case that was mentioned in the media reports itself, when somebody went to register an FIR in the police station, they were in fact asked for a bribe. One of these women only who was asked to forcefully, who was forcefully converted, she was abducted, the same pattern. And she was in fact asked for a bribe, and ultimately, even that FIR was not even registered, despite the bribe and everything being asked for. But what is actually shocking, and it is what glares out of all of this, is that even with, it's not that this is the only issue which is plaguing Pakistan as a country. Pakistan is facing n number of issues, from food inflation to uh, food crisis to flooding to domestic strife, all kinds of issues from all ends. And yet, Pakistan's focus, its priorities somehow still seem to be on completely issues which are non issues. Like a university has recently issued notice to a college for a video where a woman was seen dancing. So, what are your views on that? Where do you think this country is headed?
Yes, Shaji, Pakistan has witnessed a lot of ordeals, more so recently with the floods and economic crisis and political instability. And perhaps in an ideal world, a woman dancing should not create an issue anyway. But considering how this country has viewed and continues to view women, I'm not surprised. As per the latest reports, a woman is raped in Pakistan in every 2 hours. The conviction rate is a shockingly low at 0.2%. As per UNDP, Pakistan is amongst top 75 countries with an anti-women bias in courts. As per World Economic Forum, Pakistan is the second worst country amongst 146 countries in terms of gender parity, with only Afghanistan being worse than Pakistan. Honor killing is rampant in Pakistan. Given this context, are you surprised with this? Having said this, morality I feel is a very subjective and society specific issue. India and Pakistan, despite sharing a common and collective history, will be on very different page in the issue, because in India we keep seeing women and men dancing all the time in college fests, and it's never a problem, right? For Pakistan, I think it's ultimately for the taxpayers and their society to decide what hurts the collective morality of the country and the people. So I don't think as an Indian I can comment on the morality of people in Pakistan. At the same time, when you talk about where do I see this country in future, I'd like to be optimistic, because we do not want a disturbed neighborhood in our for our country, right? But I'm afraid I don't see that happening anytime soon. Pakistan's problems are not just limited to terrorism or their economy going kaput, nothing, or army rule or their destabilization. It's also national integration. It's finding it very tough to stick together as a single unit. I came across a line once which aptly summarizes Pakistan's situation. And the line goes, Pakistan's destiny is evidently to disintegrate. It was born out of hubris and false premises in 1947, and now it's having a very difficult time holding on to a shred of common decency, let alone character and fidelity. Now, national integration has always been a challenge for Pakistan since its creation in 1947. Till 1971, it struggled to reconcile the two very different states with vastly different culture, traditions, language that had come together to form Pakistan. Even now, Pakistan is created only on the basis of a common religion with little or scant respect for individual cultures or regional traditions. Contrast this with India, where we may not have a common tradition, a common religion, essentially all of us Indians, but we have respect, and that is something even our constitution takes cognizance of. Individual respect for not just personal freedoms but also collective religious freedoms and regions and their cultures and languages, right? Now in Pakistan, since that thing is not there, that has unsurprisingly created a lot of tension between various communities and various traditions that they follow. To add to that, scanty resources multiplied with rampant corruption, which worsens the poor resource allocation, makes things worse for Pakistan. Balochis and Kashmiris, they already feel disconnected with the mainstream Pakistani community, right? Most of the times, Balochis are complaining and they are actively seeking India's help to intervene and to help them with their independence. Same thing goes with the territory of Pakistan occupied Kashmir, Gilgit Baltistan. They are also suffering because they are not treated at par with Pakistanis who are living in other parts of the country. To add to these woes, there's also China, which is on its way to sort of colonize Pakistan. Maybe this is what colonization looks in a modern world. And Pakistan barely made it out of the FATF grey list, barely managed to make to secure a IMF loan, is a debt-ridden state with rampant corruption and poor economic policies. To add to that, Chinese pressure and Chinese, loans which are highly in favor of China, Pakistan is already in deep soup. So I really don't know, when we talk about Pakistan 10 years from now, will it be the same? I'm not too sure. I'm not too hopeful, I'd say.
Please remember to subscribe to us and switch on the notifications for this channel. For our other social media links, more content, and to support our work, please visit citti.net. Dhanyavad. Namaskar.